Okay, the serpent in the Garden of Eden is time. In Revelations, which is the last book, it speaks about the beast. The beast is Saturn. It says, who can bring war against the beast? Nobody, because it's time. Okay? It's time. Saturn creates time. It creates what we live in. That initially, and for all intents and purposes, that thing is God. But it's their God. It's not mine. Because there's one higher than that one. That's timeless. When, people say infinity, it's infinity. I-N, like inside. Infinity means time. So you're in time. And as I stated yesterday, if you want to go be with God for infinity, then you're speaking about the God that rules this world, and that's Saturn. This is the seal of Saturn. You see it? That's the seal of Saturn. That's what it looks like. If you just do a little bit to the seal of Saturn, now you have the Star of David, which is really the seal of Solomon, and that goes back to the seal of Saturn, which you just saw. But it's what creates the cube. It's called Orobus. It's a snake biting its tail. Okay? That represents Saturn. It comes out of Babylonia. It represents Saturn. That was time. It wasn't a serpent as in the snake. It was a serpent as far as time. A sine wave. Red and blue. The sine and the cosine wave that creates time. We have it's interesting because the Masons have a red and blue lodge. That's a time cube. It represents time and space. It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with saving your soul. In Revelations, which is the last book, it speaks about the beast. The beast is Saturn. It says, who can bring war against the beast? Nobody, because it's time. That planet is what rules this world, and as soon as the people understand that, the better off they're going to be. Okay, so why do they say that we're sinful? They say that we're sinful, or that you're born of natural sin, because you're born into sign. And when you're born into time, when you're born into sign, you're born into sin. Now, why does sin keeps you away from the Creator? Why? Because here, that's ruled by time, the circle, and space, the square. The Creator is timeless. There is no time where He exists. This thing that men call God is the God of infinity. So let's look at the word infinity. So when you say, oh, I'm going to be with God for infinity, yes, if you want to stay here, you can be with Him for infinity. It's a loop. You go around and around and around. You have to rise above that and get to where there is no time. So when they say, oh, man's born of natural sin, you are born into the third dimension. And as the Bible says, the wages of sin is death. When you're born into the third dimension, you live in the third dimension, and as we all know, time, given enough of it, destroys everything. Okay? That's why in Revelations, the beast is Saturn, because it regulates time. Given enough of it, it will kill you, your friends, your pets, destroy, rust, break down everything in the third dimensional level. And death is always associated with sadness and wailing and gnashing of teeth. And that is why, it's interesting, because when you look, I forgot to bring this up, when you look at a sine wave written, okay, written in physics, it's red, okay, and because that's sin, and that's in reference to sine, which represents time, and the devil is what color? He's red. Nobody is born evil. Nobody's born into natural sins. Like everything else, first of all, the Old Testament was never supposed to be in your possession. The Jews did not want that out because those stories are coded stories that are written in high physics. The Old Testament is stories about reflections, light waves, atomic weights, dates, what else? Vibrations, mathematical codes that are what that thing up in the sky creates. That makes the reality that we live in. So for all intents and purposes, that thing is God to this planet, not to me. I believe in the guy that's above him. The problem is we don't know what his name is. So that's why I believe in Jesus. He's the only guy in between me and the Creator. That thing, as it spins, the rings, creates time. Time creates energy. Okay? This planet is a big-ass battery. Okay? There's billions of people living living on it. Let me explain to you how that works. The science says that we don't have to sleep. There's really no reason for us to sleep. When it's light on our side of the world, it's dark on the back side, correct? So everybody goes to bed. Most people do. As the sun that strikes the earth is like a battery. As the light comes in, it's recharging the other side where everybody's sleeping, okay? And as it spins and it comes around and it's nighttime on our side, the sun that's now hitting the other side of the world is now recharging our side. And as you walk around outside and you breathe your air, you are grounded. There's an energy that's created that goes up into all things. Okay? The earth is a big ass battery, but like any battery, it can only put out so much power. The earth spins. As the earth spins, it creates a gravitational pull. If you stop the electrical current of this planet, everything will drop dead in a heartbeat. And what you're seeing going on with the birds and the fish, that's all being staged. That's all staged because they're making you think that what man's done to the environment is wrong. No, they're gearing you up so that you will hate. And eventually down the road, they're going to convince you that you need to go. Not just all this other luxuries that you have, but you need to be taken care of. You need to be gone. And so they're going to make it convenient for you to kill yourself by killing you themselves. So we have wars. They're all contrived. They're all created. There's no world leader that's mad at another world leader enough to wipe out a whole civilization. But they're getting ready to. But it's also going to be the excuse on why we need to get rid of your ass. And that is why if you go and read the Georgia Guidestones, it says the new world should have 500 million. There's 7 billion now. That's a 97% reduction rate. I have no problem with all of these people here. I don't want to see one person die. But what other solution in their minds can they do? So the word sin is sign, it's time. Okay? Because it's sin is sign and sign is sin. Sin is equated with time. Time is equated with Saturn. And Saturn is what regulates time. And because time kills everything, given enough of it, we all have seen people die. We've had pets. We watch ourselves age. There's no way to get around it. The Bible clearly says, who can bring war against the beast? Nobody. So sin has nothing to do with being evil. Men don't need a deity to talk shit, or to rob each other, or to murder each other. They do that on their own. But you're not born sinful. You understand that I'm not lying to you, I'm not bullshitting you. I believe that Jesus is my Savior, and I think a lot of things that guy said were never ever given to people. So now that you know the word sin means nothing to do with evil, what else did they bullshit us about? Religion means to tie down, restrain, or hold back. And that being the case, it's nothing more. The word synagogue, where the Jews go, sin. S-Y-N. Sin. Time. Gout. Okay, the word gout is a horse's bit. It restrains. Time restraint. So they go to the synagogue, okay, to worship the time Lord. There's a hexagon on the North Pole of Saturn, which is a cube. But what they're coming up with now is they believe that there's a big cube in the center of the Earth. Now I've got some pictures of some things that lend credence to the fact that there probably is something there, which would beg the question, is this why they keep going to the North and South Poles? Because if this thing is connected to that thing up there in the sky, then this would be some type of ancient apparatus that's been around for a long, long, long time. And as for the codes, that I did the video on, just stretch your imagination for a minute. What if this thing that's in the center of the Earth is like some type of highly sophisticated ancient computer from another time or another civilization that has a mind and a conscience, and they know how to work it, but they don't know how to work it exactly. And that's what keeps us in time with Saturn. See, remember I said they're mimicking, they're doing something with Saturn. You know, now you got the thing, you got time jumping forward 20 minutes in Italy. Italy is called the land of Saturnia. See, there's something going on. There's something down in there. You'll see it in my video. But I'm pretty sure that there's a cube sitting right in the center of this planet. And you'll see in the video where the scientists are saying that that thing is there. But I'm wondering if that is not the thing that keeps us a prison planet, which keeps us tied to this thing. And if they're jerking around with this thing, then they're throwing time and space out of the way that it should be going, and it's creating these things. You know, like I was telling you, that I was blaming this on Saturn, but this thing is connected. So they say, as above, so below. So is this there's a connection here. There's definitely a connection, because the Jews have made it more than obvious in their writings that this planet is directly linked to Saturn. And I'm wondering if this is not the link. So when you see the video, you'll understand it. So, you know, I'll have that out later today. But, you know, it's just getting more and more and more evidence that there's definitely a link between this planet and that planet. You know, and why everything here is a representation of that planet. So I'll get that out to you. I just wanted to do a little short little video.
They're using terms and symbols and emblems, and they're playing on you. You know, a lot of people think, well, these are just play on words. Don't bet on it. We have something called the California criminal justice system. Criminal justice, not American justice system, not the people's justice system. It is the California criminal justice system. You think that's by chance? Think about it. You think that the government makes mistakes? The only mistake is that you're thinking that they're making mistakes. These guys know what they're doing. When they say criminal justice, they know what they're talking about. The criminals are in charge of the justice. That's why it's a criminal justice system. Okay? The Knights Templars, who set up your international banking cartels in the 12th, 13th, and 14th century, are the same people that gave you educational institutions, colleges. Where do we get the word college? College comes from the collegia, the Latin Roman college of cardinals. I mean, I could go on for hours just giving you examples. I mean, when you graduate, you come out with a square mortarboard, a black square mortarboard. What's all that about? Black square mortarboards. It has to do with the planet Saturn.
Planet is what rules this world, and the sooner the people understand that, the better off they're going to be. Okay, so why do they say that we're sinful? They say that we're sinful, or that you're born of natural sin, because you're born into sign. And when you're born into time, when you're born into sign, you're born into sin. Now, why does sin keeps you away from the Creator? Why? Because here, that's ruled by time, the circle, and space, the square. A little bit to the seal of Saturn. Now you have the Star of David, which is really the seal of Solomon, and that goes back to the seal of Saturn, which you just saw. But it's what creates the cube. It's called Oribus. It's a snake biting its tail. Okay, that represents Saturn. It comes out of Babylonia. It represents Saturn. That was time. It wasn't a serpent as in the snake. It was a serpent as far as time, a sine wave. Okay, the serpent in the Garden of Eden is time. In Revelations, which is the last book, it speaks about the beast. The beast is Saturn. It says, who can bring war against the beast? Nobody, because it's time. Okay? It's time. Saturn creates time. It creates what we live in. That initially, and for all intents and purposes, that thing is God. But it's their God. It's not red and blue. The sine and the cosine wave that creates time. We have it's interesting because the Masons have a red and blue lodge. That's a time cube. It represents time and space. It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with saving your soul. In Revelations, which is the last book, it speaks about the beast. The beast is Saturn. It says, who can bring war against the beast? Nobody, because it's time. That planet mine, because there's one higher than that one. You know, that's timeless. When, you know, people say infinity, it's infinity. I-N, like inside. infinity means time, so you're in time. And as I stated yesterday, if you want to go be with God for infinity, then you're speaking about the God that rules this world, and that's Saturn. This is the seal of Saturn. You see it? That's the seal of Saturn. That's what it looks like. If you just do